Hey guys, Happy New Year. It's about 5:30 here Eastern Time in Georgia, and I'm excited for this upcoming year. I have a lot of plans. I'm in a whole different energy than I was at New Year's last year, and so I wanted to expand upon that. Um, as always in my videos, I give personal experience to help you guys in your own journeys, in your own path. And so I first want to state that before this year, or this upcoming year, I never really believed in New Year's resolutions. Like, for me, I feel like, why can't you just make the decision to do something when you feel inspired to do it rather than waiting till a new year or your birthday or something, I mean, for me, it just, New Year's resolutions, while it is a very symbolic thing because you're entering a new year and you're passing away the old, so there is that, of course. But for me, it just never made logical sense because I guess it's just the way my brain works. It's the way that I feel about life. Like, and maybe it's because I have that free spiritedness in me. So when I want to do something, when I feel inspired to do something, I just do it, when I have the chance. And so I'm trying to get my camera right. But this year changed everything. And it was not just the people that I've encountered and developed relationships with, but it's what I went through. I mean, the experiences that I had, both negative and positive, the emotional healing and transformation that I've already experienced this past year, the combination of all of those things really catapulted me into, now I have clarity and certainty around what I want 2022 to look like. And so I wanted to give kind of an idea of what my spiritual awakening has been like in pockets of time, just so you can see how different my transformation has been this far. And maybe you can compare it to your own spiritual awakening or your own spiritual pathway, spiritual journey. Um, so I spiritual I firmly believe that I started spiritually awakening after my son was born because I had a lot of time to myself. I was able to go internal. I didn't have distractions. Of course, I had my newborn son. That's a distraction. But what I'm saying is that I was cocooned inside my house pretty much most of the time, and I was also kind of, emotional, stressed out at times because I was having to care for an infant, and so that caused me to want to um, go with, well, not want to, it kind of forced me to go within and start really um, asking questions, like, is there's got to be more to, and not that I was happy. I mean, I had my newborn baby, I was happily married. So it wasn't that. It was just, I started, because the distractions were gone and I was sitting at the house a lot by myself, I started to realize that there was more to life. And I grew up religious, so it's not like I didn't already have that spiritual background training. I think what happened was I awoke back up to that, but just in a different manner. And so I progressed through the first couple of years of my son's life, being a stay-at-home mom with him, um, really just relishing my time as a housewife. And we would, in the summers, we would go on the lake and hang out with all our friends, and everybody loved little Chase, and just a good time in my life. But the spiritual awakening path started to really ramp up. And then that's when I got into my coaching a little bit. And well, I got the certification and the health coaching certification. So I started coaching a little bit. And then all of a sudden it was just like, it only took one, well, it wasn't one, I wouldn't say it was one major catalyst, but it was like a series of, um, hammers that really just took the life out of me as far as my desire to coach, my desire to expand. Um, and so I stopped my coaching and I started just self sabotaging, being in denial, um, being very heavily in denial that I was ignoring the true parts of me, that I was ignoring who I really was, that I was ignoring what I really wanted. And looking back on it now, I can see how it was necessary. It was a necessary experience, but at the same time, how hurtful that was for me to have to, you know, give up on myself and run from myself and um, abandon, you know, who I really am as a soul and what my heart calls me to do. And it's not that I still didn't have fun. It's not that I wasn't, the personality that I am. It's not that I wasn't still a good mom or like anything like that or a good wife. It was just that the desire to help humanity and to serve the way that I wanted to was um, not completely, but I just didn't. I was so in so much pain, I guess, on the inside, but I didn't realize it then. But I was in so much pain, and I was in so much um, denial that I just stopped, and I didn't listen to my heart. And so I went through a period, I would say 2016 to 2018, 19, well, probably 2019, where I just kind of numbed out and distracted and just did what I, needed or wanted to do to not feel the pain of not listening to my heart and what my heart was calling me to do. And so then that leads up to the anger and the resentment part of it, where relationship issues were popping up. Um, I was getting very jaded with life in a lot of ways. Um, a lot of my issues were refusing to be ignored anymore. Absolutely refusing, completely, 100%, confusing to be ignored. And that is when I started projecting out. Um, and it led into the first part of this year too. So 2019 to 2020, the anger was coming up, the resentment, the sadness, lots of sadness. Um, I wasn't aligned with who Rachel really is. And when I say Rachel, I don't mean the ego Rachel, I mean like the soul, which doesn't even have a name. But, I wasn't really being aligned. So I remember there was this one distinct moment when and it was a series of, it was the first 6 months of this 2020. I remember several different situations where I had breakdowns and a lot of fear and sadness and anger, a lot of anger come up. Um, and then I remember one day, and this was after I started talking to a therapist, and I really love her. She's so sweet and so great. I still talk to her. So I had already been making progress, okay? So then I remember I was doing hot yoga on my mat outside in the sun. It was like really hot, so I was sweating really good. And 30 minutes into the session, I just remember I was listening to some soft music. I remember laying on my mat and just started bawling my eyes out for a good 10 or 15 minutes. And I realized some things about my life. I don't want to get into details because I'm very not comfortable with talking about relationship issues because I have people that know me that watch these videos. And I'm just, it's all over the internet, right? But so relationship stuff, financial stuff, even health stuff a little bit. Just, stuff was not right. And then so I laid on my mat and just cried. And I heard God say to me, not literally heard, but I felt God say to me, and it was very bold. It was very clear message. Let go. Let go. You've got to let go and stop, basically to stop resisting. And so for the first time, after all that resistance, after all that anger, after all that pent up emotion and resentment, really, I mean, not towards just people in my life, but towards everything. I just laid on the mat and I just cried it out. But the more important part of that was that I released and I let go. And then I met a coach that I really, it was very shortly after that, that I met a coach that I really connect with. And he has helped me already so much through his videos, through his interactions one-on-one. And so it's just like been like this continual progression of the right people coming at the right times. First my therapist, then my breakthrough, then meeting my coach, and then just there's been several other things that have really been I'm discovering sorry, I got a call. I'm going to call them back. Discovering who it is that I want to be. It's my brother. So anyway, so now for this year, it's because I've gone through all of this in 2020. Chase, I'm trying to make a video. Because I'm trying to go through, I'm trying to focus here. I've got every distraction in the world. My dog's barking in the background. Anyway, so the upcoming year, I'm really excited about it because I am ready to make big, big changes in my life. I am ready to really step into my mastery and do the things that I have wanted to do, but I was too sad and too angry, and there was too many blocks in my way to where I couldn't do them. And now I feel like I'm being catapulted into this huge, beautiful, wonderful new energy, even though I still have a lot of fear and a lot of energies to work through. And there are days where I get really either down or the anxiety is really bad. But for the most part, there's like this new energy just pulling up out of me. Like, I mean, I'm being propelled into life in all areas. I have this hope like I've never felt before. And for the it's in all areas of my life. Like, it's in my health, it's in my my spiritual life, of course. It's in how I mother my child. It's in the dreams and goals that I want for relationship, how I want my how I want to conduct myself in relationships in the future, and how I want to um, develop and foster and manifest certain relationships that are um, more in alignment with who I really am and what I really want. And nothing's ever permanent. I don't expect everything to fall into place and then stay that way for the rest of my life, because up to this point, my life has been a series of huge changes. I've gone through I feel like I've been through incarnations just within this life of different versions of me. And that's okay. That's okay. Um, but one of the things that I feel is really going to propel me is that I'm taking a shadow work course. It's a 16-week course, and I'm so excited about it. It starts tomorrow, and I'm really extremely excited about that. And then she has another one that's emotional rehab or whatever, and I want to take that one afterwards. I really feel like there's a lot of value in her name's Candace, and Candace's work, and I'm gonna invest in it, because I know that during this catapulting period of my life, I know that 2022 is going to be a catapulting experience for me. Um, the spiritual foundation that you lay down is the most important thing that you can do. So you lay the spiritual foundation, you heal the wounds, you heal the trauma, you heal the mental blocks, the the chakra blocks, all of that, and then you're able to just skyrocket up into what it is you're meant to do, who you're meant to be with, the relationships you're meant to form, the financial abundance you're supposed to have. All of that just falls into place when you lay the spiritual foundation. So I'm really excited about that. But I've also got a lot of other goals. I mean, I want to work on, eating more raw foods and stuff like that, instead of just always. I do eat pretty healthy, but I just want to work on my diet a little bit. Cut out sugar and try to cut out the wine. That is my vice. I love wine. Cut out as much as I can. Um, really just work in all areas of my life. I want to focus on um, encouraging Chase's passions. Like he has shown so much interest in music, and he's going to continue some type of sport. I don't know if it'll be soccer or if he wants to try football, but I don't know. He's so funny. He's like, Mommy, I'm not aggressive enough in soccer because I just, I don't want to get hit or kicked, and he's not bad. He's not a bad player, but he doesn't really get in there a lot of the times, and I'm always trying to encourage him to do that, and he's always so afraid. And I'm like, well, Chase, you're not gonna like football any better. But he wants to try it, so we'll see how that goes. But also, um, he's very artistically inclined, like his mother. Like he loves to draw, and well, I don't draw, but he's actually written like a chapter of like a story that he wanted to write about at school, and it was actually pretty cute. And he loves to dance, and he's shown interest in music, the piano and the guitar. So I have a lot in store for him in that way. And yeah, it's just, I really want, by the end of 2022, I want my life to look completely different. Um, and I am open to not just my own plans and supporting my own plans, but holding space for what God wants to create for me, for what the divine wants to live through me, and that can unfold in any kind of way. I'm willing to be guided, but I know that if I want the life that I really want and I envision in my head, I've got to go through the groundwork, or continue. I should say, I should give myself credit here. I have been going through the groundwork for years, but building that momentum by really blasting through some of what's going on inside of me so that I can catapult into this new experience of life. And I am embracing all of what God wants to live through me, what He wants for me. He, the divine, He, she. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm really excited, and so this is my message to you guys: is what are the accomplishments and the healing that took place, and give yourself credit for everything you went through this year and the challenges that you went through. Give yourself that space of, or that encouragement of, how much did I grow this year? I grew a lot. Whether you want to, it doesn't matter what department of your life it was in. I'm sure most, if not all of you, have made improvements. You've faced your fears, or you've really learned some lessons from the year that we're about to pass out of. So take all of that strength and pass it on into this new year, and then use it as fuel and as a way of expanding even more in 2022, and really just nourishing your nourishing yourself and growing yourself up like that big strong tree, you know. That's how I like to think of myself, as I'm growing into this big mature strong tree with all the branches, and I'm multifaceted, and I'm expanding out, and I'm growing, and all these different experiences and life lessons are like the branches of a tree, you know. So that's the message I want you guys to take out of my sharing with you about my own life and what I am planning on for this year. And I know there's always things in life that you're not planning on that happen, that are either negative or positive. But you can always take lessons away from every experience you have. And there's been a couple of experiences that were extremely negative for me that happened this year. And I took both of those experiences and chose to see them as not just learning experiences, but as forgiveness practices, and as practices, accepting people for who they are, and forgiving people that want to attack you or judge you or make you feel like you're wrong or that you're not doing things right, you know. Um, so yeah, so I'm just going to leave you with the message of, Happy New Year, of course, but also just really appreciate what you went through in 2021. Take away the lessons, write them down, really acknowledge that, acknowledge how much growth you went through. And then in 2022, that will catapult you into um, gaining your confidence and gaining your momentum in your spiritual practices in all departments of your life. And we all have many departments of our lives where we can always improve upon, and we're constantly growing and learning in. So I hope that message was a blessing for you guys, and that you can take away something from it. And I love you guys very much from the bottom of my heart. From the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't do these videos. I'm doing them for free. I'm not getting paid for them. But I do them because I have a passion for humanity. I have a passion. I know that I came here to serve in some way. It doesn't have to be a big way, but I know that I came here to serve in many different ways, obviously being a mother, and there's certain areas that I know that I was called to, but now I'm expanding out, and I know that there's other areas that I can serve in as well. So anyway, Happy New Year to all of you guys, and I encourage you to sit down and write down, literally sit down and write down, or on a computer, write down, what it is that you Well, first of all, appreciating yourself for everything you've been through this year. And then for, for this upcoming year, just really setting down some foundational plans or whatever, and then really taking that to heart and really saying, okay, once I write these down, I really am going to follow through, and because I'm doing it for my own self-love, I'm doing it to honor myself, I'm doing it not to please others, not to impress others. I'm doing it simply because I want to have a good experience of life. I want to grow in God and really embodying my own the authentic self. So honor yourself, honor who you really are. Um, just really start on honoring yourself, and that's what New Year's resolutions are all about. It's just that we lose sight of our own self love, our own self worth, and we uh, we care too much about what other people think. We care too much about pleasing others. We get distracted. Distractions are huge. I'm gonna work on my distractions for sure. Anyway, I hope this message helped, and I love you all, and Happy New Year.